Let me tune in and come home to myself and connect to me, and most importantly, connect to each of you. My gosh, my gosh, my gosh. I'm so excited that let me back up and share that at the heart of discovery of self is homecoming to self. And what I love about this topic is that we're able to hold space for each other to share our story, that for a moment we can take a step back and be like, show me the world through your eyes. But not just that, can I see myself? I'm getting emotional. Can I see myself in the reflection of you? That truly, I believe we reflect each other. There's a part of me that I can see in you. So for a moment, can I just take a step back and just look at myself through your eyes and you? And so with that intro, homecoming to self story, I'm so excited to introduce to you all our first homecoming to self story of 2020. Rachel, thank you so much for blessing us with your presence today. How is your heart?
I'm honored to be here. I really am. And when I saw this opportunity, I was completely aligned with it because my theme for this year was home. And that was my intention. And the most amazing thing about setting that intention is that every year I choose a different theme as my word of the year. And rather than, making resolutions and those kinds of things, it's just, what does the essence of my year want to reflect at the end of it? And this year, my word was home. I chose that word home. And this has been in the first, what are we at, 36 days or something of this year, has been the most monumental changes, evolutionary, that I've ever experienced every day. Like, I explain miracles as being an interruption in the pattern. And every day has been amazing. And I just said to my husband the other day, we need to start like a family miracle book that every day when we sit down to have dinner, we need to write in there, because things are happening so fast for us as a family unit. In so many things that we had set intentions last year and they didn't quite fall through, but this year it's just clicking without any effort. And that's the amazing part, is that we've just chosen intentionally just to be ourselves, express who we are in all the different facets. And through that, we're allowing ourselves to get into the flow rather than trying to orchestrate it on our own, which is, amazing all on its own. We were just having this chat this morning that it's our humanness that we try and get involved, out of the lack of safety that we feel. And we feel that we have to create and we have to go out and do, right? All these different aspects of our lives, we're trying to control them all the time because there's fundamentally this lack of trust within us. But if we realize, our blood flows every day without us getting up and instructing it to flow. And the breath works every day, and our chemical responses work every day in our body, and our body naturally heals itself every day. Like, all these things happen in perfect precision for us. And then we're guided to the right people in perfect precision. I'm getting goosebumps. And then, just things just flow for you if you are in alignment. And so this year, I think not only was it the word coming home to self, but we've all given each other, when you come home to self, you give other people the space also to do that. Because if you're not in that space, you're critical and you're judging of yourself, which is the boomerang, right? We send it out, then we become critical and judging of others, and it just comes back at us. And so if we open ourselves up to that space of, this is my intention for this year, is to be home, to learn who I am, and to not put any rules on it, that there's no right or wrong way to express myself. It's just every day is a new experience, which means that I can't fail at doing any of it. So every day is just fun. It's an adventure.
Oh gosh, I can't help but hear my head say, you talk like that. and I say this to my friends, where it's like, I'm falling in love with you, but I know that I'm falling even more deeper in love with myself as I'm looking at you, and I'm like I'm feeling both of it. Like it's all,
Yes.
it is you. I love you for you. That is you. But I also see myself in the way you're talking. So homecoming, I wanted to ask you, what does that mean to you? Homecoming to self. I mean, you kind of shared a little bit and alluded to it, but as far as answering that specific question, what does it mean to you?
Yeah, I have intentionalized it for this year because I have been leading up to it. My journey has brought me this far, where all the other ways that I tried to fit into somebody else's map, um, primarily from childhood, was my dad's, because he was emotionally not connected after he went through divorce.
I'm listening
And
to you.
okay, so I spent my whole life trying to get that validation from him in one way or another. And so sometimes that meant, like right out of high school, I wanted to be an ER surgeon. So I was enrolled in med school, and I thought that, maybe that would impress him enough that I could get that appreciation that I sought from him. And that didn't work out because I ended up getting pregnant with my wonderful son. And so, the universe rewrote me there. But then next I went into the financial services world, and I became president of a financial firm. And I thought, okay, now that I'm making all this money and I've got this great life, maybe now that will be enough, right? To get that from him. And it was the same in my relationships. Every relationship I went into, it was always, what can I get out of this, right? It was never really that symbiotic energy where I could share, I could grow, together with that person. That it was never taught to me. And I didn't ever understand what the purpose of a relationship was, or really what the purpose of life, period, was. And then after that, I went into owning a roofing company. Again, another man's world. Like, I just kept choosing these male dominated industries, trying to finally get my dad to say, hey, good job, because it was always something, like there was always something you could do better. Not that he was harsh and critical, but he was the kind of dad who would tell you, you can do everything you want to do, but you got to do things my way. Right. So it was like, here's your wings. Just kidding. I'm going to cut them off at the same time. So I did that. I did this gas brake thing through my whole life, where I believed I could do anything. So I went, always to the top of the game, whatever it was, right? Owning a roofing company, or becoming a president of a financial company at 27, or, it didn't matter what I did. I always completely excelled at it, but I was never happy. I knew that there was a void within me. And the craziest part was, I never, for the last, I'd say the majority of 2 decades, I didn't feel happy looking in the mirror. And I am so thankful for the man who I have now, because and it's so cute, because he has helped me to be able to feel comfortable in my own skin. And that has been such an evolutionary process. And from that feeling of safety, then I was able to go, okay, now I feel safe. Now I'm starting to see my value, because I allowed myself to see myself through his eyes, like you're talking about. And as I allowed myself to see myself through his eyes, instead of continuing to fight it and be like, yeah, but I'm not good at this, and I'm inadequate here, and I'm not good enough for this, and I don't deserve that because I haven't tried hard enough and I haven't done this stuff. Instead of doing that, I've allowed myself to be in that space of, first it was just acceptance, and then it was appreciation for who I am. Not for what I can do, not for what I can achieve, but just for who I am. And then, like I teach my clients now, I started to explore myself, all aspects of myself, not just the parts of me that are, acceptable, or that fit into what my tribe, whether it's my family tribe or my friend groups, because I have different groups. I'm an ultra marathoner, so I've got a running group, and you have different groups, right? And these are our tribes. But we only show them the parts of us that we feel would be accepted within that area.
Next to them. Yeah.
Yeah. And anything outside of that, we kind of hide it and shun it. And then there's parts of me that there's no tribe that I feel that I fit in, that would explore or enjoy all aspects of it. And so it's just like a rainbow, right? There's 7 different colors, and within each color is then shades and variations of all these different colors. So the one thing when I'm working with my clients is, what 7 different core aspects are there of you that you're not fully living out, or that you're not fully aligning with, or that you're not fully enjoying? And so for me, when I wrote those down and I realized, some of them I wasn't expressing, and it was causing me to hide them or reject them. And then that was causing me to feel invisible. And so I would align with relationships where somebody else would be kind of the king of the relationship, and I would just be that subservient person who would do everything I could, like literally everything, to try and make them happy. But I had to attract enough of those relationships so the universe could finally wake me up and go, hey, listen, are you happy? Because you're not enjoying any of this, right? And then my most recent one was a 10-year relationship, where it was very emotionally, mentally not healthy. And I gave my whole heart into it as much as I could. But like, I was raised by my dad, who was emotionally shut off. I didn't realize that there was an emotional connection. To me, relationships were just a physical connection, right? So I would do, like, don't worry about lunch, dinner, laundry. I got all that stuff on top of running a business, on top of, like my kids said to me, Mom, why are you so extra? And I was just like, but I'm so afraid of not being extra, right? That was my thinking back then. Because what if I didn't outperform everybody? Because that's where I thought my value was. And then, so coming home to self was just like, could I give myself the space to not clean the house today? Just to be me. Can I give myself the space to take an extra 20 minutes running if I need that time, or choose to walk during my run if something is so spectacular that I don't want to just run by it? Can I just stop there and just breathe and be with it? And so for me, who's a high energy person and very alpha and like, let's get it done and let's make a plan, to step back and start to actually be with life the way that life already is and participate with what is, instead of trying to make what isn't in that moment be there, has been a complete life changer. And so for me, that's really what coming home to self with is, just realigning to what life provides each day, being in flow with it. And sometimes, although I like my lists and my day planners and, this is my, 1 month plan, I have to be open that it's going to change. And it's been so interesting because I'll be like almost done writing a course, and then I'll be guided to be like, nope, that's not it. And it's like, really, we're going to start again? So I'll write something else, or I'll get halfway through a book and nope, not quite. Let's go focus on something else. But I always come back to those things. It's interesting that the more I'm as a person, and the more I'm realizing how much more value there is in just speaking in the moment, being in the moment, being present, like that. There's so much juiciness that comes from just being in that moment, right? Being in the energy that exists. And we spend so much time thinking about the past, planning for the future, but our power lies only in this moment. It's only in this moment that we can create anything, because the past has already created what we're experiencing now, right? So to be in our power, to be in that zone, to be in flow, you literally have to be in this moment, in the energy right now, sensing all of it. So that's, sorry, a long answer, but that's what coming home to means to me.
Yeah, no, thank you for flowing and feel free to express exactly what is coming up. And you did in some way shared your homecoming to self story, what it means to you and your story. You have merged them together, because that was the next question I was going to ask you to bring us in closer. So, I mean, I got teary. I'm so sensitive to energy that I'm moving all the time. So beautiful. I definitely for sure see myself in you and in your story. So that's been a healing for me. That may be part of why I was, I don't know if anxious is the word I wanted to use, but in some way excited, but also unsettled to like have this connection with you today. But it's because my energy was going to move. I'm experiencing healing. And that's what I love. I can sit here, hold space, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's moving energy for me. It's so beautiful. I love the way you shared your story. And so I wanted to ask, because homecoming to self is at the heart of discovery of self, that you come home to self, then you discover. What's your new discovery about yourself today? And you're talking about in the moment. So what's your new discovery about Rachael today?
Oh, what is my new discovery about me? I think it's just more of the same. I feel like I'm discovering deeper and deeper depths of the same truth every day, where the more I give myself permission to be me, the more I am me. And the more I can look in the mirror and know who I am. And for example, we have, each of us has had our conditioning from our past. And so then we create these meanings about ourselves. Well, that means that I'm this, or if I do this, I can be this. And we have all these conditional thoughts about ourselves, right? It's not just that we believe these eternal truths about us, that I exist, or that I am part of the universe, or I am valuable. I am valuable if I am deserving if I am worthy if, and we have this conditionality that we place on everything that we do. And so for me, I've really begun to explore, especially lately, because I'm writing a new course, and that's what a lot of it's about, is seeing ourselves through the lens of I am, rather than seeing ourselves through the lens of our past or even our limited view of what is even possible of us, but seeing ourselves through that lens of I am. So if you take any, limiting belief which hasn't helped you get to the place where you are, that's what I would consider a limiting belief. Not that I believe that anything is right or wrong, everything has a place and it is all for our evolution. But if you take a belief that isn't supporting you and then you try and pass it, kind of like, a water filtration system, and you're pouring it through this filter of the I am, then what comes out is a pureness. And so as we do that, so we say, I feel I'm not deserving. But then you go pass it through that I am lens, and it's like, but you have the divine right to be here. Right. And so all of a sudden we start exposing ourselves to these truths rather than believing these lies that we continue to tell ourselves. And so for me, it's been an evolution, but every morning in my sleep wake state, I am aligning more and more naturally now. So at first it was an intention that I'd have to kind of be a little bit more awake to intentionalize it. But now it's like automatic. As right before I'm fully aware and fully awake, I'm beginning to have that conversation of who am I today through that I am lens? Where is my power going to lie today? What am I going to learn about myself today in a new way? And so like today, I went for a run this morning, and it was so much of the same thing. This is amazing how we intentionalize something. That's what the whole theme, the whole essence of our day becomes, is just more of that flavor, more of that essence. Like a couple of years ago, we thought it'd be a good idea to plant a garden, and we're in a like super drought area. It's horrendous. It's windy. It's hot in the summer, but really windy and cold in the winter too. So we're trying to plant this amazing garden, thinking that, we should plant this garden because our kids will enjoy picking weeds for their summer, because that's what we had to do when we were kids, just kidding. So we're planting this garden. I go through all the work. Like I get the rototiller out there and I'm trying to dig up this ground because our ground's very hard packed. It's clay. And I'm doing all the work. I'm bringing in topsoil and all the things I think are necessary because I grew up on a farm, so I know how to grow stuff. But it's been years since we did the garden. So I do all this work, and then I'm coming home off of the roof and I'm watering it. And, it's just like all this strenuous activity. And the whole time I'm doing it, I'm thinking, why am I doing this? I can just go to the store. Like, who am I doing this for? But that was more of me being extra, right? I just wanted to give my kids this experience.
Oh gosh.
And so we finally get through like 6 months or 6 weeks of, whatever, all this stuff, and nothing is growing. Doesn't matter how much I water it. And so, because we went through a wicked hot stretch that year, and it was 2 weeks of insane heat. So I couldn't even get it watered enough that it was evaporated as soon as I put water on it, even at nighttime. So we finally are like, okay, we're going to have a good home cooked meal. And the kids are all excited because we can pull carrots out of the garden because we're hoping that anything above ground should have or below ground should survive. Everything above ground was toast from the sun. So we thought, okay, carrots and potatoes should be okay. So we're digging up the carrots and they're like the size of my pinky finger. We're like, okay, well, there goes that plan. Potatoes should still be good. Potatoes grow no matter what. So we're pulling up the potatoes and, they're cute mini potatoes. Okay, well, we'll go with that because kids like mini potatoes better than the big ones. So we have, the dinner, like our meat was on the barbecue. I'm not a meat eater, but my kids are. And so they're all excited for this great meal. I have a salad made and everything, right? We sit down to eat it. And my oldest daughter plays rugby and she's a carb lover. And she's like, as soon as she sees potatoes, she's just firing them in her mouth because she burns so many calories. She goes take a bite of this potato and she's like, Mom, what is wrong with this thing? And I'm like, oh man, what did I do? Right? Because the worst thing ever when I was in that state was mom guilt. Guilt ran my world. And so I was like, oh man, I disappointed my kids. What did I do wrong? And so the other kids tried them and they're like, Mom, these are disgusting. I'm like, oh no, don't worry. Just put more sour cream, bacon bits, butter, salt and pepper, whatever you got, just put it on there, just load it up. And they're like, no, these are so gross, Mom. So I finally sit down and I take a bite of them. And it was the same thing. I was just like, what is wrong with these things? And then I took a second bite because I really wanted to know what it was. And I'm running through my head of all these different steps that you need to do, to grow a garden. I'm thinking, where is this flavor coming from? But what I had failed to realize was that our garden plot was surrounded by these behemoth pine trees. And so they're all over the place and they shed their needles constantly into this garden. And we'd only owned that house for 5 years, but the people who had owned it before were elderly and they had also let the plot go. So what we didn't realize was that while I'm rototilling this, I'm just, grinding up this pine needles and sticking it into the ground. So all of our food that actually did come from there was flavored with pine. And so when I tell people this story, for me, what it was so revealing was it doesn't matter what we go out and we try and do, right? We say, oh, you need a vision board and you need to, do affirmations and all this stuff. Like there is no amount of topsoil, fertilizer, anything I could have put on that garden that would have changed the flavor of that. It needed, it needed a full excavation really. But what it shows is that it doesn't matter what we try and do on that external world. That essence was always there. And that was my life. My life reflected my essence of somebody give me validation. Somebody tell me that my worth is there. Show me where my value is. And it wasn't until I went, oh, I see my value just because I'm here. Like the fact that I even exist at this time, there's a reason for that. And there's value just in that. There's value in me being able to walk down the street and smile at somebody. There's value in, even my energy as I'm walking down the street, because we're grounding rods for other people too. And sometimes you can walk past somebody and you can feel it. And if I can ground some of that energy from them, then maybe they can feel just a little bit lighter. Maybe their day can be a little bit more valuable. And so as I started seeing other ways that I could be valuable, not just cooking, cleaning, performing, whatever.
Performing, yes, that's the word.
Yeah. So once I started realizing there's other ways that I can be valuable, then all of a sudden I started becoming happier. And so now I don't have to try to be happy. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, good morning, everybody. It's so natural. And I'm walking, across the crosswalk and I'm waving at everybody who stopped. And I am just so genuinely happy to be alive because I genuinely believe and see my value now, and it radiates out from me. And that's an exciting way to live. And so I keep saying, to my husband, I just want to give everybody just a tiny dose of this so they know what they want out of life, right? Because I was so lost. I didn't know that was possible. And anybody who kind of talked even remotely like that, I was like, yeah, okay, you're fake. You're not being real. But now that I get to experience that, yeah, it is a genuine happiness. And when I'm not feeling that joy, I know I've disconnected from my alignment. I know that I'm focused on something that isn't true. I know I'm trying too hard to push in a certain direction. I'm trying to use, force versus power, right? And our power comes from that alignment. And so that's been a really big deepener for me. And every day, just realizing how powerful it is that we can intentionalize it, and that intention carries that essence throughout the day. And people think, well, it's such a little thing, right? It might only take you 20 minutes in the morning as you're laying in bed and you're still in that sleep-wake state, instead of grabbing your phone and going on social media and checking to see how many more likes you got, or, broadcasting your new thought of the day or something. Just be in that space, just feel that energy and what's coming up for me today. How can I align with my light? Because what keeps happening is otherwise we hide in the shadows of somebody else's light, but that's not what we're here to do. We're each here to be our own light. And so as we align with our light, as we align with our truth, and we filter out our thoughts through that I am filter, it's like, okay, there's a reason, there's power in this. There's value in my existence. Without my to-do list, I don't need to have a to-do list to have
Yes.
value. Right?
Yes.
Nobody's paying for
Here's
that.
my value. I listed out.
Yeah, I listed and I checked it all off today. So I'm valuable today. No, and that was my thing. It was always based on a sense of accomplishment. But I've been able to not to overcome it, but to grow through it, and to no longer focus on that each day. That used to be the way I'd wake up in the morning of, okay, what's today? Okay, I need to do this. I have that meeting, I have to make sure this is done for the kids. I got to do this. And that's just, you're waking up in chaos. And so then you bring that chaotic essence through your day. Or you can wake up and, where is my value? What is my truth? Oh, this feels so good just to know my value, and just lay there and bask in it. I'm a sunshine person. I would be on the beach any day rather than sitting out in the snow that we're in right now. So to me, that's what it feels like. It's just that feeling of being in the sun and feeling that on your skin, like that feeling of just being able to let yourself be present with that energy first thing in the morning, and then watching things unfold during the day. And then same thing, at nighttime, it's right before sleep, back into that moment again of just pure existence of I exist and everything is possible. And then you go to sleep to that, and you have the most amazing and revealing and insightful dreams because you've intentionalized it, rather than going to sleep, I didn't get enough done today, and I'm worried about what this person's going to think about me. And then you have, not quite as enjoyable, restful sleeps. I really feel that it, like Dr. Ayamoto, right? His fascinating study with water, and he showed, the different energies that were reflected in the symmetry and the beauty of the water as it froze, versus the words or the energy that was reflected in the words of anger or hatred. And so when we go to sleep, because we are 70% water, when we go to sleep and we are feeling that feeling of all possibility, we are aligning ourselves. We're healing our body. We're healing our emotional body, our cellular body, and it's aligning with truth. We're giving it permission to play on that field for the 8 or 10 hours that we're sleeping, rather than play on the field of self-judgment and criticism. Does that help?
That is impactful and rich, and you're definitely glowing because you're flowing, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask you what's your homecoming self practice, but you also just flowed right into it without even me. And then that's what I love when people are in flow. I experience it a lot for myself before. I just connect right away with the things that are not even spoken yet. I'm thinking about it and you're connecting. You're not saying, oh, she wants to ask about this, but you're just flowing, and those things are coming out. So I wanted to ask you how we can get in contact with you. But before that, is there anything else that is important for you that's in your heart that you want to share? And then let us know how to get in contact with you.
Ooh, that's good. I think there's a lot of people, and my number one question that I get asked is, how do I know if I'm doing it right? Because there is a lot of misguided information, I would say, in the self-help industry. A lot of the self-help industry is regurgitated, it's passed on information. And it's interesting because it's information from the past, which means it's not totally current or relevant to us. It can be, parts of it can be relevant, parts of it can be valuable. But if we're continuing to live by somebody else's map, or this is the way somebody else succeeded, we are then limiting ourselves to not only our past, but we're limiting ourselves to their past. And so when I work with people, I'm not going, a lot of the self-help industry is focused on giving you coping mechanisms to stay small, to feel good about being in your small, limited space. And the way that I work with people is I want them to see how amazing they can feel as a butterfly. And so, yes, there is some breakdown, and we've all gone through it, especially the last couple of years. If you hadn't gone through your breakdown before, the last 2 years have been really impactful on that transformation and breakdown. But it all happens for us. It's all an invitation for growth and for evolution, because no longer are you satisfied with being in your small space. You're not happy being on the ground and crawling around and being limited to what you can see or what you can do or how fast you can move like a caterpillar. Once you become that butterfly and you can be radiant in your colors and you can show your magnificence and you know your value, right? Like butterflies, they don't hide in the trees. They're out there flying and showing off their colors, and it's gorgeous. It's amazing to watch. And so what I really encourage people to do is to find what resonates with them. Stop trying to live according to somebody else's map, which is, our mental mind thinking, if I just do it this way, then I'll get freedom. If I just do it this way, I'll get acceptance. If I just do it this way, I'll be appreciated. But to go within and to find your value, but to find somebody also who can cheerlead you in that way, not to cheerlead you to help enable you to stay your small self, because that's not what we're here for. We're here for growth, we're here for evolution, and we're here to create. And that's what is fun. It's way more fun to, be out doing things and exploring different aspects of yourself, whatever it is that lights you up, painting, singing, those kinds of things. And so I encourage people to start spending some time doing those things every day. And I say, even if it's 10 to 15 minutes of, maybe it's painting is your thing, just do it. Just set a timer for 15 minutes, carve it out, because the more, it's like a muscle, and the more that you do those things, that stronger that desire is going to be. And you're going to start feeling like, oh, that's me again. I'm connecting to myself again. And so I really encourage people just to start exploring that, allowing themselves, giving themselves the permission, guilt-free permission, just go and say, this is my time because I deserve it. It's only 15 minutes out of a 24-hour period. I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to do this, right? Even if it doesn't line up with somebody else's schedule, give yourself that permission. And that's where I tell a lot of people it's the best way to start, because you start to feel that bliss and that excitement again. And from that, we get to become these amazing, magnificent, powerful creators again, as we start aligning with what it is that lights us up, rather than trying to fit ourselves into somebody else's world where we don't fit anyways. And you're not made, like I said, to sit in somebody else's shadows. You're made to shine. That's why we're here, is to each be our own light in our little corner of the world. But you can't do it by continuing to abandon, reject any aspect of you. All aspects are important. All aspects are beautiful. And the most beautiful flowers and animals out there are the ones who know their worth, right? It's like a flower knows what its job is. Our flower knows it's going to open up, it's going to grow, it's going to shine brightly, it's going to be attractive. If a flower just stayed small and closed up, there's not very much value in that flower. And so I really encourage people to see what it feels like just to bloom just a little bit. And it's always comes up to, our circle of safety. But the more you practice it, the more safe you're going to feel, and the more you're going to enjoy it. And then you start going to go, oh, I really like this feeling. Like, this is juicy. This is fun. I like the way that it feels, this freedom that I'm giving myself. And then you will eventually graduate into wanting. It's like almost addictive, because that is your true self. And it's just going to pull you forward, right? Your higher self pulls you into that space and goes, yes. And it's cheerleading you the whole time, saying, yes, 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 I'm right here. Come, right? And it's trying to just give you these little breadcrumbs. And eventually you're going to get to the place where there's the whole cake is sitting right there for you, right? All of you is sitting there, but we have to just follow this little crumb trail to finally get to where we are. So there's no right way or wrong way to do it. Every day is a new adventure. Every day is a new opportunity to explore a different facet of you or yourself in a new way. And that is the whole purpose of us being here, is just to explore ourselves, to be infinite, right? Not limited. So
Yes.
that
So
would be my final thought.
thank you so much. You're definitely flowing and glowing, and you're embodying this. It's not just words coming out of your mouth. I can feel your energy, like from the crown of your forehead to the soles of your feet. This is definitely you. So thank you for sharing you with us in this
You.
space and trusting us and feeling safe to let us see you and let us see ourselves in you. So for those of us who, like you said, find your resonance, for those of us that resonates and definitely want to collaborate with you, work with you further and explore that, how do we get in touch with you?
My website is rachelpoffenroth.com. And right now, if you go there, I have a free self-love challenge. It's a free 5-day challenge. And it's actually just an ebook that you can just download. And then it has a few videos, 5 videos for 5 days, and just a small practice each day. It's just like that little bit of a muscle of, give yourself permission to try and do this today, or give yourself permission to, be proud of yourself. What is 3 things that you're proud of? Because we very rarely do that. We're so quick to be critical and judgmental of ourselves. But what are 3 things that you can do to say, hey, I'm actually really proud of myself that I did that today? And so they're little baby steps to kind of give you a teaser, like an appetizer of what it would feel like to fully embrace that feeling of being in self-love. And then also offers a guided meditation, which I call the Cloak of Self-Love, because for a lot of us, and for me, when I was in my former state, it was so foreign to me that I couldn't even understand what self-love actually meant. And so it's a guided meditation where it feels as though you're putting on a cloak of self-love, and you can feel that energy, that warmth, that safety. And while that is on you, who would you like to become, and what parts of your life are still left unexplored, and what aspects of you are you not sharing with the world? And so it just guides you through these things. And as you come out of the meditation, then you become aware of, there are parts of me that maybe I'm not honoring, that do deserve a little bit more time in the limelight. So how can I do that? And so it's just helping people just to start going in that avenue. So if you go to my website, that's right up. It's the first pop-up that shows up. And then also I do weekly lives on Instagram on Tuesdays, and they're Q&As. And so every week has a different theme, and then we just open it up. And if anyone's got a question to specifically answer, then we answer it there, because not always, people can't always afford, the rates of private coaching or anything like that, which I do offer, but sometimes they just want, a quick answer, or they need something now rather than taking the time to book it in and waiting for 2 weeks kind of thing. So I also offer that one-on-one opportunity as well, if people want to join in on that.
You are definitely abundant and full of love. I love it. Thank you. I'm so honored that you allowed us to hold space for you today. Well, I will definitely have your links on the description for sure. So anyone that do resonate with Rachael, please, if you feel drawn to that, and explore that resonance so that you can see more of you and, hey, explore the depths of you. So that is it for Homecoming to Self story today of Rachael. Thank you so much again for sharing that. And I am Florence Leonardo. Continue on the path of the discovery of self, for you are the treasure.